Kathy. Hey everyone,
Hey,
how are you doing?
everybody.
Happy Wellness Wednesday.
Absolutely. Well, today, you guys, we just want to come to you with just Crystal and I. Our distinguished guest wasn't able to make it today because he's busy. I mean, he's a freaking doctor, so we get we get why sometimes he won't be able to be with us. But Crystal and I have enough information where we can just do what we do. But as I know, at the beginning of every program, we have Crystal tell us her beautiful testimony because it is amazing. And if she can do it, the whole crust of it is if she can do it, you can do it. So we just want to start off with her telling us why she became a holistic coach, um, herbalist, and just her overall health and getting back to balance, all of that. So, Crystal, can you please explain to us what's going on, why this all happened, all of that?
All right, well, I'm a holistic health coach and an
Mhm.
herb specialist. And, years ago, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. It's an inflammatory bowel disease and basically ulcers all over the colon. And they call it an autoimmune disease, and it basically got me down on my deathbed. I lost over 30 pounds in a month. It happened twice in my life, once when I was 18 and then once when I was 24.
Mhm.
The second time was a lot harder. I got down to 97 pounds that time. I didn't really have the 30 pounds to lose. Um, and life was not happening for me. I had to quit my job. I had to move back in with my mom, who I've haven't lived with since I was like 18 years old, and then my daughter. I had a 1 year old, and I couldn't hardly take care of her, take her back and forth to where we needed to go. It was just life was getting difficult.
Mhm.
So we did that, and I went to the hospital, and they talked about doing chemo, they talked about surgery, they talked about being on medications for the rest of my life, how this is uncurable, and all these things that I'm like, okay, I'm 24 here, this can't be happening. There has to be another way, and no one talked about diet, nutrition, stress, no one talked about anything. They just want to give you medication, pain medication, stuff like that, which makes ulcers worse, by the way. Which we could get into that here in a little bit later. But anyways, I said there has to be a better way. So I knew about my naturopathic doctor, our naturopathic doctor, Dr. Inga Wetzel, and she taught me when I was 18. Hey, I saw her. She did iridology. She intrigued me because she knew everything that was wrong with me without me even telling her. And I just had to learn from her. She was a teaching doctor. And so I learned some things, but I didn't take it too seriously when I was like 18.
Right.
And then that second time when I was 24, I said, I have to take control of my life. I had to go see her. I was 97 pounds, pale as a ghost, dark circles, looked like I was dying. I was dying. Um, Doctors even said if you were older, you probably wouldn't be alive right now. Just because you're younger, it's easier to bounce back, but it's not going to be easier the next time around. And so I started learning from her again, and I was like, I started getting better. I started changing my lifestyle. I started changing my diet. I started taking an herbal protocol. I stopped the medications because they made things worse, actually. More pain, more inflammation, more time seeing the doctor. Wasn't getting better. And so
Wow.
everything I was doing with diet, lifestyle, managing stress, all of that started helping me get better. And I told myself, if I can get better, when they said this was uncurable, when they said I would have to take medications for the rest of my life, and I don't, if I can do these things, and I can teach people how to do other things, right? I know everybody's body is different, so I wanted to learn. I went and got certified for stuff, and I said I have to teach this. And that's when me and Kathy collaborated later on, because we both had this health mindset, helping people holistically, because we help people with a whole list of problems, you know, and so
Yeah.
it's holistic. We tell body, mind, and soul. Every time there's a sickness or an illness, there's usually an emotion attached, and you have to look into that. There's a lot of things to look into why you have this disease. Not doctors focus on what disease you have. They don't focus on why did you get this disease. What's the cause? They focus on symptoms, not causes. and symptom, and then they focus on this. If we focus on the symptoms and not the system, we have to focus on the system, because we can't just work on the liver and expect everything else to be okay, or we can't just work on brain function and everything else be okay. No, there's the gut, there's circulation involved, there's liver, kidneys, thyroid, adrenals, there's all these things, and we have to look at that. And so that's why Kathy and me do this or Kathy and I do this, because we have this passion to help people. And we know that you can do it in a non-invasive way. It is dedication. You have to be disciplined. You have to discipline. You have to use discipline, because you have to have this routine. Yes, it takes time. It takes dedication. But you know what? It's completely worth it if you feel better. It's completely worth it if you reverse diabetes. It's completely worth it if your granddaughter with autism starts to speak and was nonverbal for 8 years of her life. I think that's worth it.
That's amazing. And for all you who don't know what iridology is, or iridology, that is the study of the eye. So what we do is we can take a picture of your eye or look directly in your eye and diagnose things, or not diagnose, but kind of give you a wellness check. We can give you a wellness check.
It gives you, it tells you about the different organs in the body and basically how they're working and functioning. Like you can see different organs that they're affected, by antibiotics, possibly by inflammation. You can see if things are congested. You can see if there's yeast in the body. You can see all kinds of stuff.
And it goes 4 generations back, you guys, which is pretty amazing. Your left eye is your mom and your right eye is your dad. And it's very interesting how I was able to find out what my father died of from iridology. He passed away of a heart attack. And yeah, so it's just an interesting study. And that's what she was saying that our doctor did. Dr. Inga, I gave her iridology or iridology, test, if you will. I don't know if that's what to call it, a test.
Well, analysis, iridology analysis.
Analysis. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. And it was amazing. Everything that she was telling Crystal was everything that the doctor had said, and then some.
Right.
Inga was able to
give her. I was anemic, and the doctors tested for that, and I am. I was. So she could see. You can see those things through her eyes. You can see if you have poor circulation. You can see different things. No, it's not looking at your actual eyesight, or if you have cataracts or anything like that. That's not what you look at.
No.
Different parts in the iris, of the color of the iris, and even looking at the pupil, you can tell by your nervous system. You can tell your stomach, your colon. Your heart, thyroid.
You guys, your hair. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing everything that can be said and that can be done in that. And it's not evasive. It's non-evasive. All it is looking directly at me.
She knew that I had allergies. She knew I had allergies and sinus, basically infections all my life, because you can tell in my iris, because the sinus layers are at the top of the colorette, and you can tell by different markings and different colors, if it's how it's affected, where it's affected. And all my life, I used to have sinus infections and allergies, and then I ended up having colon and gut issues, which is really closely related, actually.
Yeah, it is. Actually, tell us how that's closely related for people out there that don't know.
Well, something that I like to let people know is that sinus means, in Greek, it means sewer, and our sewer is our colon. So basically, if your colon is, has more toxins than it should be, if your bowels aren't moving daily, the bowels should be moving daily, not once a week or not once every 3 days or once a day even, but it should be at least every day for sure. And and if it's not, a lot of times we have sinus issues. Sometimes we can have allergies because the liver is congested. It's not making that bile move, how it should. It's not being able to filter things out like it should. So we get congested with all these things, and then we start becoming allergic to things because our liver can't take it, and it sees. And then if we start having these undigested proteins because our enzymes aren't working like they should, and that has a lot to do with our digestive tract and our intestinal tract. if we don't digest these proteins, sometimes people get autoimmune diseases. And 80 to 90% of people who have an autoimmune disease have leaky gut. And leaky gut is where your food from, that has coming from out of your colon leaks back up into your bloodstream, causing a lot of problems. Like it starts with bloating, dysbiosis, overgrowth of bacteria. It can cause fatigue, all kinds of stuff. So a lot of things like that, we have to look at the diet and eliminate stuff. And
let me say something too about the overgrowth of yeast. We talk about candida a lot, and the overgrowth of yeast. Women always think of yeast in the urethra or the the vaginal area, and we never think of yeast any place else in our bodies. If it is affecting you in that area, that means you have an overgrowth someplace else. Like it is not just in that area.
If it's apparent there, you've already
there's also if you have a real thick coating on your tongue should be pink, you guys. It shouldn't be white. So if it's white, that means you have an overgrowth of candida or what we call yeast. And there are different reasons why that happens. But go ahead, Crystal. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to add on to what you just said just now about the tongue. People think that they can just brush that off. No, you can't brush off yeast. It's going to keep coming back every single day because you have an overgrowth of yeast in the gut. It's coming from the gut. And then other times that can cause halitosis when you start being over acid and having more toxins and overgrowth of yeast in the gut. And what a lot of people don't know is that your immune system and your gut are closely related. 80% of your immune system is in your gut because we have over 3 pounds of bacteria in our gut, and our bacteria in our gut has more DNA than our actual DNA in our body. So you have to think about that. If you put that into perspective, what we eat affects how we feel and how our body operates because gut bacteria, if there's more DNA in there, more gut bacteria than cells in our body, basically, that it matters what we eat, and so we have to have more good bacteria than bad bacteria.
Yeah,
it controls everything. It controls the inflammation responses in our body. It controls how we digest our food. It controls how our circulation is working, how our heart is functioning, how our thyroid is functioning, adrenals, kidneys, liver, gallbladder, pancreas.
So is that good bacteria or is that bad bacteria?
Both affect all of that. If you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, you're more likely to have probably diabetes, dementia, Alzheimer's, autoimmune, asthma, allergies, you name it. Eczema, skin conditions, rashes, that's all a gut issue. It's all a gut issue. So you have to think about what you're feeding that gut bacteria. Bad bacteria, biofilm, overgrowth of yeast, that feeds on sugar. That feeds on, things that make your body acidic, like caffeine, too many carbs, too much trans fats. Fats are good, but not trans fats. Trans fats are what cause that high bad cholesterol. You know what I mean? People wonder why, they're like, well, I don't eat a whole lot of fat, and they wonder why they have their HDL is too low and their LDL is too high. Well, most of the times, the standard American diet, the SAD diet, is full of sugar and carbs, and that's what we mostly eat, and that's what causes that, because that starts to strip away minerals, that stops our enzymes from working. And then also, we talk about a lot chewing. Kathy, you talk about this all the time, how many times you're supposed to chew your food. The reason is because you release this saliva, which has enzymes in it. It helps break down that food, and it helps to liquefy it, because our body, if our food doesn't turn into liquid, if the enzymes aren't there to break it down to liquefy it, then we can't absorb it, and then it turns into acid in the body, creating more inflammation and pain.
And there's only that saliva, that breaking down of things is only found in the mouth. That first thing is only found in the mouth. Digestive is only found in the mouth.
And that's what digests sugars and starches. Most of your saliva is what digests those sugar and starches, which most everybody is eating. And then and what do you think is the average time someone chews?
Oh, maybe 3 or 4 times. I'm not even kidding.
Actually, right. It's 4 times. 4 times
Hmm.
people chew.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And then, yeah.
we should be chewing. I don't even give people a number anymore. Chew until it's basically liquefied.
Well, this is the thing. The reason why I give people a number is so that they can concentrate.
Mm,
So they can concentrate. Because by the time you get to 32, the food's going to be gone.
yeah. You don't even have to
So
chew
you're
that many
supposed to
times,
chew
actually.
your food every time for every tooth. Now, if y'all snag a tooth out there, you better chew at least 32 times for the teeth you used to have.
Right?
So chew 32 times, but by the time you get to the 18th time, the 18th chew, it's gone. It's liquefied. And so that's the reason I give them a number, because it makes them think, oh, okay, let me see if I can make it last this long. It's almost like
Right.
a game. Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
we're always on the go. We're always like eating in our car or trying to get
Oh, I
somewhere,
know.
and we think we got to eat so fast. And actually, what happens is when we're on the go or standing up eating, or when we're in the car trying to hurry up and go,
The
what
body
happens
doesn't
is
realize.
our nervous system is affected when that's happening, and it's creating a stress response, which also it blocks your enzymes from working. So therefore,
Mm.
that meal you just ate while you were stressed out because your body created that stress immune response, you're not going to absorb hardly any of that. You're going to probably have bloating after that, indigestion. There's different things that can happen. Maybe your joints might ache even.
Yeah. I often wondered, and I don't know if anybody's thought about this, but back in the biblical days, they used to eat lying on their right side.
Eat lying
Ju-
on the right side.
Mhm. Mhm. They did. They
Hmm.
used to lounge when they ate. They didn't sit up. And I wonder what that was about. But somebody out there that hears me, do that research and get back with us, because I think that's interesting.
I think
They
that
they
is
used to
interesting.
lay down and eat. They didn't sit up. They used to lounge on the right side
That's
to eat.
interesting.
Mhm.
Because the digestive
And I
tract is
bet
this
you,
way.
but just
It's
for a
like,
reason.
yeah.
And I have seen somewhere where laying when you're eating and after you eat, not to lie on your right side or your left side because of this, doesn't know. So, but uh, yeah, like one side isn't digesting as well as the other side or something like that.
Hmm.
And so anyway, yeah, anybody out there that's listening, do some research and see what's going on with that.
Yep.
Um, the other thing I wanted to say about the gut is there are a lot of doctors out there that are prescribing um, acid inhibitors.
Hmm.
And please explain why that's not a good thing, number one. And number two, please explain why drinking a lot of milk and dairy causes ulcers.
Okay, so first question, why they give you acid inhibitors like
Why
Pepsidate's,
that's not good for it.
yeah, Rolaids maybe, and then the Prevacid, or
Hmm.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So what that does, it actually it it how do I say this? It's basically takes out all the acid in the stomach, so which we need it gets rid of that hydrochloric acid needed in the stomach, that because you need hydrochloric acid to digest your food. And the only place hydrochloric acid should be is in the stomach. If it's burping up and you get that like burning feeling,
Hmm.
that is when, or heartburn, that's kind of two different things. But when you get burning feeling, when you have that acid reflux, that's when that's coming up because that flap didn't close off, and the acid is coming up
At
into
the
the
bottom of your
esophagus, and it is,
esophagus.
yes,
Yeah.
and it is burning it, and that's why people start getting open sores in the esophagus, esophageal cancer, because it's destroying the lining, of that.
Coating. Yeah.
And then what happens is you're not able, again, to digest your food. If you don't digest properly, you don't eliminate properly. And then people start getting IBS issues, usually bloating, diarrhea, constipation, or both, colitis, Crohn's, you name it. Or any type of leaky gut, then autoimmune. It just starts with all these things. Um, so it's an acid blocker. So it's blocking that acid from working, the right kind of acid. And then there's people who are over acid stomach, and they just need to alkalize a little bit and get the enzymes back in there. So we take like plant enzymes or something like that. And then what was your second question? I know I needed to
About
answer that.
milk and ulcers, or
Milk
dairy
and
and ulcers.
ulcers. Okay, milk is the number, or dairy. Let's just say dairy, not even milk.
Hmm. Right.
Any type of dairy, butter, and this is not including eggs, by the way. This is anything that comes from a cow. So eggs don't come from a cow. So this is anything that comes from a cow that is like from the dairy department, the milk, whatever you make out of cheese. This creates mucus in the body. It creates an inflammation. It's is the number one inflammatory food out there. So if you have allergies, the first thing you should do is eliminate dairy. But it also, from that inflammation, and it creates that mucus, which the bad bacteria feeds on that. It can create that overgrowth of bad bacteria in the gut, H. pylori in the gut sometimes. Then the doctors have to test for all kinds of things. That's another thing. But it creates this list of problems. And the inflammation, if your body always has inflammation in it, it's going to start eating at the gut lining. It's going to start creating ulcers. It's going to start creating all those things, and stress does not help it. Stress is a huge factor.
Yeah.
Let me pull up this right here. I want to explain something.
Okay.
Okay. So this says effects of toxic overload and nutrient deficiency. I actually use this chart a lot because it's really easy to help explain to people that why our gut bacteria is so important. Now we have these studies that prove that our microbiome, which is our, everything in our gut bacteria that is made up of, it's what controls all these things. Our sleep. If we're not eating right, we can have brain fog. It controls our heart. If our gut bacteria, it could get, if it's bad, really bad gut bacteria, we could have a heart attack. We could have skin issues like eczema, psoriasis, yeast and fungal infections, digestive issues, acid reflux, bloating, dysbiosis, SIBO. We could have inflammation like pain in our joints, muscle pains, different types of sharp pains in our body that we shouldn't be having. It affects our metabolism and weight loss, which affects all this. The gut bacteria affects our thyroid, which controls that, which also affects our energy. That goes right in our metabolism and energy and thyroid. That goes all together. We didn't know our gut bacteria affects all these things. So this is just a really good chart to show like what can be affected by an overload of bad bacteria and a toxic gut. And then what that follows is nutrient deficiencies. If you're so congested with if you have an overload of toxins, heavy metals, bad bacteria in the gut, it is going to create nutrient deficiencies because the enzymes don't work in order to absorb those nutrients and absorb those vitamins and minerals that we need.
So what's dysbiosis?
Dysbiosis is you both basically get bloating because of the overgrowth of bacteria in the gut.
Okay. And did you guys know that the reason why I kind of said something about yeast and having yeast, because we always identify it in the vaginal area. But did you know you can have yeast overgrowth in your ears? And that would be in the actual ear canal, which is when I do ear candling, which is a candle that I put in the ear. I burn it on one end, and then your earwax comes out. And then when it comes out, after it comes out, I'm able to open it up and show you how much yeast is in your earwax. Now you don't feel that, you don't even know that it's there. But when I open it up and show you, you're like, what? That's yeast? Yes. I can show you how much yeast is in your body through ear candling.
Yeah. If you ever get an itchy feeling, if your ears are itchy, that means you have an overgrowth of yeast. If you have the ear infection, if you're a child, if you have a child that has a lot of ear infections, that's an overgrowth of yeast, and it has to do with your sinuses, of course. Sinus is not only your colon, like we said, it's usually in your small intestine bacteria where it starts the overgrowth and all that. So you have to understand that sinuses are also yeast related as well.
Yeah. And then I want you guys to think of inflammation in the body as it's not pus, but think of it as pus because it is a very heavy mucousy substance that's throughout your body, and it's causing pain. It's causing, like she said, it's inhibiting a lot of things that should be going on in your body. that it just can't, your body can't do certain things because of the inflammation in the body.
Right.
And we absolutely need that to be taken out. And it is possible. You can get inflammation out of your body.
Right.
What is
She
Blue
said,
Vibe saying?
Blue Vibe says, "Oh, I used to drink so much milk, and I would like to know how you feel. Do you still drink milk now? Have you switched over? What are your alternatives? Because we do recommend like unsweetened, of course, but almond milk, or you could do coconut
Oat
milk. You could
milk.
do oat milk, cashew milk.
Hmm.
Now, you do
Hmm.
have to watch out for oat milk if you are gluten intolerant or celiac or anything, because if it does not say gluten free on there, it does contain gluten.
Okay.
You have, if you're getting oat milk, make sure it says there are certain brands that are completely gluten free. So just to know that one. And then the other one, Blue Vibe also commented. She says, "Oh, what, ear candling? I bet my pinky toe that I got yeast ear." Yeah, yeast. If it's coming out, if you can see on the outward part of your body anywhere, like fungal infections, toenail fungus, anything over waxy ears or itchy ears, sinus issues, things like that. You already know you have an overgrowth yeast. If
Hmm.
you're
That's
getting,
already an overgrowth.
yeah,
Hmm.
if you have an autoimmune disorder, most times you have an overgrowth of yeast. It goes right along with leaky gut.
It's amazing how our bodies tell us things. And do you know what the heaviest organ is that we have on our bodies?
I don't know. I feel like the biggest muscle would be the heart, but
The
I don't know,
heaviest organ we have.
our brain.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's skin.
Oh yeah, the
Hmm.
more just
Yeah.
elimination organ, derp, derp.
I even said on the body, so I was kind of wondering if you were going to catch
I
that.
was thinking inside, internally.
I said
I'm always
on the body.
internal.
I said on the body on purpose. But yeah, it's our skin, you guys. And our skin is so important because it tells us so much. And if it is showing on the outside of us, it's already affecting the inside of us. One of the
Yes.
biggest things I was I was listening to one of the doctors this weekend. I listened to him like a couple of hours. And one of the things that he said was, and Crystal says this often, that our liver has 500 to 600
Function.
functions in our
Hmm.
body.
Hmm.
And he was talking about how to cleanse the or unclog or de-digest or um, congest our liver was through highly sulfur foods. And some
Hmm.
of those foods are broccoli, cauliflower, things like that. And I thought,
Onions.
okay, I'm eating a lot of that good stuff. In fact, I
Yep.
think I'm gonna pull it up because it's really interesting.
And
Some
some
of the things.
people, sometimes those types of food tend to upset their stomach when they first start eating that and bring it
And the
into their
reason
diet
why is because,
of the overgrowth of bacteria in the gut.
mhm, and
And so,
that's why it's not a bad thing. It's because it's,
right,
yeah. So it's onions, garlic, leeks, cauliflower, broccoli,
cabbage.
other cruciferous cruciferous vegetables, and I'm gonna let you explain that. Asparagus, um, organ meats, and you know what organ meats are, don't you?
Liver.
Mhm.
Like,
Exactly, exactly. Fish. I'm giving her a hard time today. Fish, eggs, nuts and seeds, spices, legumes, which is pretty good. You guys got to eat that.
mhm.
And dried foods. So there's some things I'm not including on this list that he has on here because I don't agree with them because they cause other issues. So I won't say. But yeah, that it was really interesting because I love onions, I love broccoli, I love cauliflower. My sister, when we went out of town, all I ate was cauliflower and fish because that's what I did, and with salmon, as
Mhm.
a matter of fact. And she told me I'm going to turn into a cauliflower and fish. But I would eat it morning, noon, and night because you guys, the worst thing we can do in the morning is have a heavy,
Yeah.
carbohydrated breakfast.
Mhm.
Pancakes that's full of
Flour.
flour and
Mhm.
syrup, and that's nothing but sugar and
Mhm.
um, yeah, things like that. And if you are not a pork eater, that's great. I think that unless you're getting organic pork, that you know you're getting it from a good source. But that's another thing because I know where I get my pork from is her pigs are totally eating the right stuff. They're not in their own bio. They're not in their own thing. They're not. She's not just dumping anything in there for them to eat. She does a pretty good job with her all her animals actually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was interesting. I thought, okay, so I am cleaning out my liver.
Oh,
By the way, I don't know if I told you this. Okay, go ahead.
okay. It says I use almond milk mostly now. I was drinking about a gallon a day of cow milk a year ago. Crystal can tell you, I was so sick I couldn't even really eat, so I was just living off milk. I had some intense stress as well. I was awful sick. I feel way better now. Sheesh.
Oh my gosh. Thank goodness you
Yeah,
got off
thank
of
you for
that
sharing.
dairy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That a gallon of milk, you guys. People don't even
Mm.
drink a gallon of water.
Let me
So that
let
ought to
me
tell
just
you
say
something.
this. Before I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, we all think we eat a good diet, okay?
Mhm.
Because I did eat lots of vegetables and fruits and things like that. But that doesn't make up for the fact that I drink a gallon of milk to myself almost every 2 to 3 days, which also strips calcium from your body and other minerals from your bones. We say they teach us that. Okay, let's rewind here because people are going like, "What? And that milk
They
gives you
sure do.
calcium." So yes, we were taught that all of our lives that milk is supposed to get it's good for strong
Yep.
bones because it gives you calcium and vitamin
And
D.
cheese.
And
And
here's
cheese. Hmm.
here's the reason why it actually strips that from your bones is because dairy is actually not just lactose, but everything in dairy. It's just not digestible. It's made
That's
for a
right.
calf to gain 2,000 pounds in 6 months. It has hormones in it, usually steroids, all these other things, antibiotics, and unless you're getting it organically, but still, if your body, no matter what, even if it's organic, if your body can't digest it, then it turns to acid in the body. And what do we say about that? Acidic environment is where disease lives and where inflammation is
Mhm.
caused, basically. So
Yeah.
you're creating mucus in your body. If you eliminate that, your nose might postnasal drip. Like some people have so much sinuses and it's just draining all the time. And then that sinus, that bacteria drains down to the stomach, causing H. pylori sometimes or bad bacteria in the gut. So Blue says here, I totally can tell that I have a lot less mucus.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And you probably breathe better. Sometimes people they don't even notice. Some I'll ask them if they get bloating or anything like that, and they think, oh no, I'm not bloated. I'm just like this all the time or something. Like, well, you're not supposed to be like that.
Well, let me tell you this too. You stink. I mean, I'm going to be real right now. When you poop, it's the foulest smelling stuff ever. When you actually pass gas, it is horrible. So when that happens, your breath doesn't smell well either. So let's be real too. All of that ties in together. So yeah, I've
That's
noticed a
when you
huge
when you
difference.
stink and stuff like that. That's your gut creating gases from that bad bacteria, and it's
Hmm.
creating methane and all kinds of different gases, and that's what stinks so bad.
Hmm.
Yes.
I mean, anytime you have to hold your own breath to go to the bathroom. I'm just saying.
I have a laugh in there. That's for
I'm
sure.
just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Oh, but
Yeah.
so we talked about all this pain and inflammation and what things cause and stuff like that, but we need to talk about some
How to
solutions.
get rid of it.
Yeah. So obviously the first thing is to eliminate dairy. Um, sorry, Blue Vibe says, hold your own. But first thing is to eliminate dairy because that's the number one inflammatory food there is.
Hmm.
Second thing is to eliminate gluten. Now, black and brown people actually aren't as intolerant to gluten as light skinned people, but because their genetics are different. Yep, it's a true. I looked it up. Isn't that interesting? And so they won't notice. Black and brown people might not notice that they're gluten intolerant a little bit, and there's different versions of what people feel when they have a little bit in gluten intolerance because everybody, what 50 years ago, what our ancestors ate um, is not the same wheat and gluten that we're eating today. And so
But
it does affect our gut.
one way we can tell is if they're really fine bumps on the back of your arms.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way.
And another thing is dark circles under the eyes. That's usually your adrenals, and it's also allergies, but mostly food allergies. And
Mm-hmm.
so it could be gluten. And let me explain this too, because sometimes people eliminate gluten and it helps them, right? But then they still have these other problems, like they feel the same way with another food, maybe. So here's what it is. Gluten is a protein. There's other proteins in your body that your body has to recognize, okay? And if it sees this gluten protein as an inflammatory response, basically your immune system goes into attack, stuff like that. Sometimes there are other proteins in the body that are similar. And if you have an autoimmune, it's going to treat that even if it's a good protein, because cancer is made up of protein, viruses are made up of protein, fibrin. So if it sees good proteins as bad also, it goes into attack and then you just can't absorb it. So sometimes we have to do that elimination diet to help our bodies out so we reduce that inflammation response. Maybe eat like bone broth and like chicken and something like green beans or something like that, or maybe smoothies or something, but just simple things for a little bit, just a few things every 3 days. Add something in there, and then if you feel the response, you might have to add more enzymes in to get through that. You have to cleanse your liver, things like that. So we just have to understand that gluten does actually create an inflammatory response in everybody. Everybody's a little bit gluten intolerant. And it can get worse over time. It's becoming more and more apparent in America all the time because of the standard American diet. And so those are two things that you can start to eliminate. Other things are, eating dark leafy greens. Bitter is better. Think of it when you have bitter foods. It helps that your digestive tract, and it helps create those juices to help them flow to help get the enzymes in.
Yeah, every time I think of bitter, I think of Carla, the lady that we have on, that she talks about nutrition and exercise and yoga. And she always said everybody needs their bitters, and she's right. We do need our
We
bitters.
do. We do.
I take a supplement called barium. I mean, oh, it's not barium. What is it?
Berberine.
Berberine. But barium is very, very bitter, by the way.
I never heard that.
It's very bitter. It's part of the bile. Ugh, gosh, it's horrible. But yes, and I take that, and I can literally taste the berberine through the gel of. I mean, I have to hurry up and get it down, but it's bitter, and I know it's better for me, which is why I take it, because she was
Right.
like, "You need your bitters," and she's exactly right. I know dandelions are very bitter as
Very
well,
much.
and they are very good for you guys.
And your
But
liver. Very good to nourish your liver
for
and
you
your
guys
stomach
that
as
have
well.
all those dandelions out there in your front
Mm-hmm.
yard, go pull them up and cook them.
You can eat the entire plant. You can eat the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat the roots. You can eat the
Yep.
flowers. The leaves, I like the leaves to make a salad. Mix that
Mm-hmm.
in. But that's great to nourish your liver and your stomach because it has natural sodium in it needed for your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's bitter. It helps your digestion, your juices flow to help you get those enzymes activated, and it helps to cleanse the liver.
And what I'd like to tell you guys too is that Crystal and I have everything that you need to get better. We have a couple of companies that we partner with that we use their products to get you guys back into a holistic balance. So just because we talk about it and say, well, you guys, we got things that's going to help you out. That's what we do. That's why we're here. We're not just telling you the problem and how to do something. We're going to help you through it. That's what our job is to coach you through it, mentor you through it, encourage you through it, keep you on the right track, give you alternatives. Like, we're not going to just take away milk. We're going to say
Right.
add a nut-based milk.
Right.
And some of them are really, really good.
Right. You have
We're
to
not
find
going
out
to
which
tell
one's
you
your
to take
favorite.
away your cheese. We're going to say give vegan cheese because they're very good as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of good alternatives out there that you do not have to feel like you're giving up so much. There are things out there that can definitely keep you on track and get you back into balance and make you feel like, man, my knee pain is gone, or man, my back pain is gone. Or when you get better and start going back to eating wrong, those pains come back and you're like, the inflammation must be back. things like that. All right, Miss Blue, what is she saying?
She said, these ladies really do help consistently. Thank you, Blue. We appreciate that for sure.
Thank you, Blue.
And
Yeah,
then
I mean, that's what we're here for.
and then she also said she dries dandelion roots and makes a tea for her blood pressure. That's awesome. That
That
is
is awesome.
awesome. I love that. She
That
says, I
is
need my
awesome.
belly bloat to be gone. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. And we can work with you with that. We look at the diet, we look at,
Yeah.
what you're doing on a daily basis. The best
Mhm.
thing, what we tell people, and it's the hardest thing to get people to do, by the way. It's the hardest. No one wants to journal. I get it. But every single time, if you write out your food
Come on.
journal, I know, Kathy. Anyway,
Hey, you guys, I'm being very truthful with you.
yeah.
I kept a really comprehensive one there for a long time and I just quit.
Yeah, but you do have to be consistent in that too. You have to log what you eat, log what you drink, log how many hours of sleep you're getting, your bowel movements, if you exercise, what supplements
Yeah.
or medications you're taking. Those are all factors, what we look at, and we look at a lot of other things too. And really, if you give me a food journal, I can always pinpoint what the issue is. So it's really good if you ever want to give us a call, at Natural Health Hub, or go to our website and book an appointment. Just make sure that start taking a food journal now. That way, we can get started immediately, and we can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Again, we look at the cause, not the symptoms.
Right.
We look at, why did you get this disease, not
Right.
what the disease you have. It doesn't matter what the name of the disease is. Why did you get it? Where did it come from? What's the
Yeah.
root cause? Um,
Hmm.
so we look at all those factors. We do biofeedback, iridology, all kinds of things. So we provide plenty of services. You can just choose what you want to do, and we'll be there to help. We also
And we
provide
spend
a
quality time with you guys. It's not just answering a couple of questions. We literally dig deep to figure out what's going on with you because we want you to feel better. And the other thing that I want to say that's very hard for people is that we require at least 4 months, 3 to 4 months with us. Do what we ask you to do for at least 4 months and see how you change. 1 month isn't going to cut it a lot of times. So please, when you do contact us, be prepared to have at least 90 to 120 days with us. And then if you don't feel any better after that, then skip it. But if you feel better than that, if you feel better than you did walking in, hang on in there with us and we can get you better because there is an equation. If you have a certain ailment for amount of time, you have to, what was it? Every year
So
you have to,
let's understand this part. Let's understand
okay,
this. Your body cannot heal in under 3 months, and every
right,
4 months you get a new blood supply. So whatever you're feeding your body, drinking, whatever's combating you, toxins, things like that, that's your new blood supply, and every 4 months. And so that's why we have to take a minimum of 3 to 4 months, because that's actually how long it takes, a minimum of, for your body to actually completely start getting to the root and healing. And then every year you've had the disease or illness, you add on a month for every year you've had that. So if you've had it for 5 years, you're going to add 5 months to that protocol.
okay.
Okay? Yeah.
So listen to that, number one. And then number two, always go to your doctor. We want a baseline on
Yeah.
everything before you guys talk to us. So we want to see what's going on. So go to your doctor, get blood tests, even if you call us first to see what blood tests to ask for, because a lot of times they run things that we would like to see that they wouldn't have any idea to do.
Right.
That doesn't cost you that much more either. And then the other thing, and I see that real quickly, but the other thing is, I forgot. Go ahead.
Oh, no, okay. Blue said, there is a solution to every problem. We have to be committed to finding the solution. And that is so
Absolutely.
true. You know what? If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, there's solutions to it. You just have to, I guess, be so uncomfortable that you're willing to change
Hmm. And the other thing
sometimes.
I was going to say is that we also deal with that emotional attachment to that ailment, you guys. It's not just here, take some supplements and go on about your business. Crystal and I literally counsel people through what it is that they're going through. It is not just take the supplement and go. And that's the difference between she and I and everybody else out there that I've seen. I've not seen anybody do what we do because we care about the person and not just the issue. So please know that if you have an emotional attachment to something, we can also get into that, issue and try to figure it out, and then, you know, get it out of there so that the healing can happen, because it's not going to happen uh, without digging deep and trying to figure that out. So
Because that's so true with physical, it's emotional and mental.
it is. Yeah. And that's what we're here
Absolutely.
for.
Well, we are out of time today.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful talk about pain and inflammation and some solutions about gut
Yeah.
bacteria. Really good information. I like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, and thank you, Blue, for tuning in with us and asking those questions and commenting. We appreciate you for
So much.
hanging in there with us and all that. Almost every Wednesday, I'm about seeing. I'm
Love it.
love it. Thank you. And Kathy, do you have anything you want to add to
No, I think
it?
we're done. I think we're done. I do, but it's gone. It
It's gone.
left.
It's gone. Next time. Next
Exactly.
time.
All
All
right, you
right.
guys. Thank you so much for being with us on our Wellness Wednesday. Hopefully next month we'll have Dr. Hollis with us. And next week we have a very wonderful guest as well. I'm so happy for our guests that allow us to be, have them come into our lives for these 45 minutes to an hour. They are very valuable to us, and we're so thankful. Every last one of them bring their own specialties, and we love having them with us. So, you guys, you always know that health is wealth. And if you are green inside, you are clean inside. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.